Hi, this is Don McAllister, and welcome to another edition of Screencasts Online for iOS. In this week's Mac show, I took a look at a topic that's been in the news a lot recently, and that's security and privacy, especially in relation to email. In this iOS show, I'm going to show you how you can both read and send encrypted messages from your iOS device. I've also included a section at the end of the show announcing the availability of the iPhone and iPod Touch version of the Screencasts Online monthly magazine, along with full instructions on how to get it and how it works. So this week I'm going to walk you through the installation and configuration of IPGMail for iOS. Now, this is a low-cost universal app that allows you to secure your emails with ease using the power of OpenPGP, and is fully compatible with the GPG tools we looked at on the Mac show. So now if someone sends you an encrypted and digitally signed email, you can read it both on your iOS device and your Mac. You'll also be able to create and send digitally signed emails directly from your iOS device. The encryption and digital signing is facilitated by the use of public and private keys. And although it's possible to use IPGmail in isolation to create these keys, I'm going to assume the majority of people have already been through this week's Mac show and have already set up a public and private key as demonstrated on that show. So the first thing I'm going to show you is how to import your existing public and private keys into IPGmail on the iPad. So this is IPGmail over on the App Store. It's $1.99 and it is a universal app, so it'll work on both the iPhone and the iPad. Has iCloud support as well, so once you've set up your keys, it will actually synchronize them between your devices. I already have this installed on my iPad, so I'm going to go ahead and open. Right, so this initial view is the keys view. I've currently got the private keys open and public keys, but we don't have any keys in here as of yet. Now, as I mentioned in the introduction, if you select private keys and select new key, you can actually create a private key from here. But I'm not going to actually do that. I'm going to import my keys across from the Mac. And the way I'm going to do that, there's three different ways of doing it. One is via DropBox, one is via iTunes sharing, and the third one is via email. Now, I'm sure everyone has a Dropbox account set up to synchronize files between their iPad or iPhone and their Mac. So I'm going to go ahead and use the Dropbox technique. So to set that up, I'm going to go to Settings, and then I'm going to, well, there's a couple of options here I need to look at. The first one, I'm going to switch this on anyway, although it's nothing to do with the transfer, but that's PGP in email body. I'm going to switch that on. Now, basically, that instructs the application to send the encrypted content actually in the body of the email rather than as an attachment, and some things will handle them better that way, but I would recommend that you set that up. I'll also set up iCloud as well while we're here, so that's now enabled, and then the final one I want to do is to enable Dropbox. Okay, and that will go across. It will authenticate, we'll say allow, and back over. Before I leave here, actually, I'm going to set the password cache timeout. I'll set it to an hour. I will need to use my passphrase, and I don't want to keep having to go across to retrieve it. So we'll allow the application to remember it for 60 minutes. The other two things at the top, attach pub key. So once you've got your public key in here, you can attach it to emails so people can access that. Also, you can add an extra level of security by putting a pin on the application, but I'll leave those both off for now. So we're now set up to pull our private and public keys in from Dropbox, but I need to get them into Dropbox first. So to do that, I'm going to go across to the Mac. The Mac that I use to set up the public and private keys. They're stored on the Mac. And I'm going to export them in ASCII format and drop those into Dropbox. So let's go across to the Mac. Across back to the Mac that I recorded the Mac screencast on, and this is the machine where I set up my public and private keys and installed the GPG tools suite. So if I open the GPG keychain access application, there are there's three. There's two public keys, and down at the bottom this SEO demo. This is my secret key and public key as well combined, and this is the one that I want to export to take across to the iPad. And the way I'm going to do that is go to here to export. And I'm going to save as, I'm going to save it in my Dropbox. In fact, I'm going to navigate to, I've set up a separate, there we go, private folder over on my Dropbox. I'm going to allow secret key export. I'm going to take off hide extension. So it's got the ASC extension, which is fine. We'll say save. So that's now over across on Dropbox, and that's now being synchronized with my iPad. So let's go back across to the iPad. So back across over on the iPad, and I need to now get the file I exported to Dropbox into IPGmail. And to do that, I go to Files, and then I can select Dropbox, navigate down to the private folder, tap on there, and there's the .asc file. Tap on there, we'll say Download File. Okay, that's now downloaded to the iPad, and there is the file actually residing on the iPad. So if I tap the file, 5 different options: preview, decode, store in Dropbox, backup to iCloud, and delete. I'm going to go ahead and say decode. So it's accessed the file and it knows that it has a key in there, so it needs a password. So because I've got my password stored in 1Password, I can go across to 1Password. And there it is. So if I tap on there, say copy, back across to IPGmail, tap there, paste, OK. And there we go. Keys imported, we'll dismiss. We'll say done. Right, so there's my private key. If I tap on public, there's my public key. Just to demonstrate the sending of email process, what I will do is I will compose a new email, and I'll just send it to myself for now. So if I go to compose, because iOS has some limitations, there's not really true integration with the Mail app on iOS. Although, well, you'll see as I create this mail, we can compose it in here and get it into Mail. So that's fairly straightforward to do. So I'm going to send the mail to myself. So I need to send it from, if I tap on there, that's the sender, SCO0122 at iCloud.com. And the recipient, well, I need to select my public key for that one. Again, I'm just sending it to myself for now. We'll say done. And then I just tap in here and type in my email. Pop the keyboard out of the way. If I just wanted to digitally sign it, I could just type sign, or if I wanted just to encrypt, select encrypt, but I want to do both. And we should be good to go. Now, when I tap this button, we'll get 2 options. I can either copy the encrypted contents to the clipboard and then paste it into an email, but then I'd have to switch across to email, create a new email, paste it in and address it, etc. Or just say send email, and that will produce a new message option. There we go. So it's addressed it for me. I can just type in a subject. Let's call it test 1. And everything below is the encrypted content, which only the intended recipient can read. So let me just press send. That's gone off. If I go back across to mail, so there is the mail. I can see all the encrypted content. Now to read this, let's say this had just come in from somebody else. To read this, I can copy and paste this across over into IPGmail. So just to reverse the process, if I tap, select all, copy, and then switch across to IPGmail. Let's go across to decode and then say import, and it will import that content from the clipboard. It's been decrypted, it's validated the signature as coming from SCO0122 at iCloud.com, and this is the contents. This is the text file. So if I tap in there, I can see the contents of the encrypted mail. I'll say done, and then I can clear that down if I want to. The files themselves are over here. Now you might want to delete any sort of unencrypted files if they are sensitive. So if I want to do them individually, I can select and then select delete from the screen there, or I can tap on edit and tap on these and say delete. Yes. Okay, let's try exchanging emails with somebody else. As we saw in the Mac show, DonMC123 at Mac.com has published his public key. So let's go and try and retrieve that. I can either get Don to send it to me, I can get it to drop into Dropbox, or I can search the publicly available servers. And to do that, I go to keys and then to public keys, say new key. Right, there are a list of servers we can choose from. I'm just going to go ahead with the default one, which is the top one. We'll say done, and then I put in the name of the email address I'm searching for. Okay, and search. And there we go. There's the publicly available public key for Don McAllister. So if I select that one, say import key, and done. Right, now in our public keys, I can see the Don McAllister one and the SCO demo one. So I should be able to send Don an email. So again, I'll go to compose, my private key, I'm the sender, SCO0122 at iCloud.com, and the recipient's public key, well, Don McAllister 123 at Mac.com. We'll say done, and then type in my contents. Pop that down, and that's ready to go. So type send to. Again, I'll send email. We'll call this test 2. And again, there's the encrypted contents. Only myself and Don McAllister can actually read that content. But I'll send, and that's now gone off. So what I'll do is I'll go over to the Mac, I'll retrieve that mail, and I'll do a quick screenshot so we can have a look at it. So this is a screenshot of the email across over on the Mac. As you can see, test 2. It was encrypted, but they've been able to unencrypt it. It was signed by SEO Demo 3 and the contents of the message. One of the nice things about IPGmail is that you're not just restricted to mail. With its Dropbox support, you can also encrypt files in Dropbox, which could be useful. Now, the way you would do that is go to Files. Let's find a file within our public folder. So this is Dropbox, and within public, let's say there is a file here that I want to encrypt and just allow Don McAllister to be able to decrypt. So let's say that delicious.png file. I'm going to download it. I'll say done. Tap on the file, and now we have the option to encrypt. So if I encrypt that, we'll use Don McAllister's public key, so Don McAllister will be able to decrypt it. Right, and there it is, delicious.png.pgp. So now if I select that, say store in Dropbox, okay, it's actually put it into the root directory of Dropbox. So you'll need to use your Dropbox application or just jump across to the Mac to move it to another location. But that file's now encrypted, and only Don McAllister can actually decode the file. Okay, that's probably enough for IPGmail. Let's take a look at the new ScreenCastsOnline monthly magazine. Now, if you viewed the Mac show, this is a repeat of the video on the Mac show, so you can skip this one if you've already seen it. But let's take a look at the text version of ScreenCastsOnline Monthly Mag. Now, this is a test version of issue 13, which is due out on the 1st of August. So if I go into here and let's say view, the nice thing about this new magazine is that it contains both the text version and the normal version as well. So you don't have to choose which one to download. It's downloaded, both versions are downloaded within the same issue of the magazine. So that's one great new feature. As you can see, it's a very simplistic, very easy to navigate approach. The idea really is to just make it a lot more readable on the iPhone. So if I just swipe across to the next article, you'll see it's just plain text, although we have still included all the links and all the videos as well. So it's not a cut down version of the magazine by any stretch of the imagination. It's just formatted to make it easier to read. If I go to the next article, I can just swipe across. That's another article. Again, swipe up and down to read. If I want to move across to the next article, just go across. Right, so we have our first video tutorial. So this is the one about Hazel. And as you can see, I've got a play button there. Just tap on that. That would start the video. I could rotate the device and see the video on my iPhone. And also we have AirPlay support as well. So this is great for if you want to take the iPhone with you and have your tutorials on the iPhone, but play it on a larger screen. You can play the videos on here and then use AirPlay to play them onto a bigger screen using Apple TV. So that's the Mac video tutorial. Let's just scroll across once more. So there's an iOS video tutorial. Again, we'll scroll across. And there's one of the articles. So this is an article by Katie Floyd. Again, you can just scroll up and down. YouTube videos are in there. All the links that Katie's put in, they're all replicated as well. Now, if, as you can probably see, it's quite a large font anyway by default, just to make it easier to read. But if you want to make it even larger, you can do, because there are some extra controls built into the iPhone version. If I just tap and hold anywhere on the page, right, we get a couple of things. We get a formatting and navigation toolbar at the top. We also get an index, so we can see the index down here. I can just flick through, see what's contained within the magazine. I want to go to another article. The articles currently have the author's name and the videos don't. So I can see here there's an article about my walking desk. I can tap on there, takes me directly to that article. I can have a read through. Now if I want to change the text to make it bigger, I can tap and hold. And then up at the top, you'll see there are two text buttons. So the larger font, if I tap on that, it will actually increase the font. So, of course, this is much, much better now for people who have difficulty seeing. They can actually zoom up the text to a really large amount if they want to. They can put it back down just by tapping the small a. and then I can go back out by tapping the home button. We'll just go back in again once more, so we'll view. Okay, takes me back to where I was. I can read through. I can swipe to the right to go to the previous article. Swipe to the left to take me back. Tap and hold. It brings up the index at the bottom and the formatting and navigation toolbar. One other icon is the small iPad icon up in the top corner. So if I tap on there, we actually get the full magazine in its layout. But as you can see on the iPad, although, if you could actually read it at a stretch, but really, if you want to go back to the text version, tap and hold on the page, tap the T this time, and that takes us back into the text version. Okay, let's go back to the cover page, and there we are. So that's the new text version of the ScreenCastsOnline monthly magazine. So that's it for yet another week. I hope you found the section on IPGmail useful. Really works hand in hand with the GPG tools that I demonstrated over on the Mac show. And hopefully you'll get some benefit from the iPhone version of the magazine. Just one final thing before I do go, and that's a huge ask. If you do get a minute to go across to the App Store and leave a review or a rating for the ScreenCastsOnline monthly magazine, it really does help. Each time there's a new version, the current ratings and reviews sort of get pushed down and disappear, although they still are there, but people can have trouble finding them. So when a new version comes out, if you can go across and leave a rating or a review, it really does help. But anyway, that's it for this week. I'll speak to you next time.